Aloha mai kako, everybody. I'm in KMH and I'm with the Kawamo Ohana, and I wanted to introduce them to you. I gotta be flipping this computer again, but take it off. Okay. Just had to take off that mask. Anyway, if Kamuela's still in the room, aloha Kamuela, I was your 7th grade teacher, and I'm hoping I wasn't the one spiraling you down. I was his 7th grade teacher at Waianae Intermediate School. So anyway, in Wailua, let me get this background. Choose none. Okay. Before I open with a video to ho'okahua this presentation, this is Auntie Avapuhi, Ka'awamo Carmichael, and then you have her granddaughter, Aloha, and also Auntie Pualani Ka'awamo Kimokeo.
Aloha.
All right. I'm gonna play a 10-minute video. And if I can share screen, Kelly?
Yep.
If you can share the screen with me. Mahalo.
Yep, you see at the bottom.
Yep.
Since time immemorial, Hawaiians have cherished their water as a life-giving source. This relationship has always played out in the laws that governs its use and distribution. In the late 1800s, with the introduction of large sugar plantations, these same rights were embedded in agreements mandating the highest priority would be given to downstream users, while allowing surplus water to be transported for off-stream use.
There's the agreement in 1876 to allow the ditch system to be built, and also an agreement that in the building of that ditch system, no rights of downstream users in that area would be impacted. So like if someone was growing kalo next to a stream, that right to continue to use that water for kalo cultivation would not be impacted. The person would still get the amount of water that was needed to continue that practice. That didn't happen though.
They're affecting my way of life, yeah, by diverting all the water. And that's our sovereign rights. The taro farmer and the taro has the rights to the water first before anybody else. Do we have rights or don't we? This is considered the largest contested water case in the history of Hawaii, up against an existing sugar company. Think about it, people. Who overthrew our government? The sugar planters and businessmen. These are the same people we are dealing with. Same corporation, same owner, family owners. Our resources, not yours. Politics and economics. They control everything.
They all corrupt, they all for the money, yeah? We here just trying to make a living.
For decades, the rights guaranteed downstream users in East Maui have been violated by the continued dewatering of more than 100 streams. The waters brought to Central Maui by EMI to water the sugarcane fields of HCNS averages 164 million gallons a day and can be as much as 450 million gallons a day during rainy periods. By comparison, all of Oahu consumes an average of 160 million gallons a day. So the state has allowed HCNS to use as much as the entire island of Oahu uses, where 80% of the state's population lives, leaving East Maui residents with miles of dead streams.
Right now we are sitting in Honolulu River, which you can see is dry, wet from the raindrops. This is one of the key sources for our water that they divert way up above.
The impact on this environment is tremendous when you kill a stream and you allow invasive species to take over. That's a sin. When you kanaka and you sing Malamaina, you're really seeing the word Malamaina. Is that called Malamaina? The dewatering of the streams and the dead stream? How can you sing Malamaina?
We had Hi'ivai, and this was only like 10 years ago. When the thing went bone dry, everything died. Hi'ivai, everything died.
This is pala, they call this. And how you get this, one of the main reasons is from the water. You need fresh water, you need flowing water to farm our law, the kalo. Because if you're farming with warm water, you're pretty much cooking a taro already. You know what I mean? You're cooking a taro before the thing even get out of the dirt. Yeah, take them down to no more. And this is the outcome. This is all I get left. Don't make play with crazy.
We had this fight for the water and talked with my mom, and she said we needed to get into this, even though in her advancing age and my aunties, they knew that this was a thing that they had to do. We have 4 ditches that tax our stream. That'll be the Hamakua ditch, Wailoa ditch, the Lowry ditch, and the lowest ditch would be the Haiku ditch, which is about 2 miles upstream. They have no qualms about dewatering streams just to take it to somewhere else where it doesn't belong. A lot of our things are being exported out. And we should be growing our own foods, especially our own native foods, growing our own ulu, growing our own taro.
Traditional and customary rights are guaranteed these residents. There is no confusion. The law is clear. The state must stand up to the water diverters and represent the people who have waited far too long for their waters to flow.
When you look at the law that applies to this case, that's why the law reads the way it does, because it took into recognition the fact of the importance of that water to these people. You could not divert to the point of injuring someone else's rights.
I have gathered with my grandparents since I was probably maybe younger than 4. They would put me on their backs, hike me in the mountains with them. It's the best experience you could ever have as a child. Growing up, we didn't get presents from our grandparents for Christmas, but to me, the present was going to the mountains and the ocean and gathering with them and learning all that they know. If the water was restored, flowing freely, we could be catching opai or hihipai. And then down by the ocean, you could throw your nets, the moi will be breeding there, all kinds of fish, aholes. Auka tumakai, it's our way of life.
Let the people take care of themselves. Let the people take care of their families the way that they have done for generations and generations. It's worked. Enough of taking and taking and taking and not giving back anything to our community.
We know everybody need water out there for drink. We're willing to give, but give us too. Just be fair with us as all.
For me, this place get so much feeling in. I wasn't even 15, 16, I think, when I lost my dad. But he told me if I never give this place up, you know what I mean, never give up. My father in Maki already, my tutu nana in Maki.
And they've been fighting from before their time. One day we won't see them up in, you know. Everything will come back eventually.
It's been a long journey. And for me, I love my community. I love my home. I love my kupuna. I ain't changing. And I ain't giving in, guys. And I'm not here to bargain with nobody. It's our home. My kupuna will never tolerate us if we can't fight for our own backyard. All of this has been passed on down to us.
Will my Mo'opunas be able to see what I saw when I was younger? Will they tell me, how come you never fought for us? Did you not try to protect our Aina? You know, I would not live comfortably knowing that I did not fight for this.
All you Hawaiians out there, we're doing this for you because that's our rights, yeah? And everybody got it in them, a little bit taro farming. Get your hands and get your feet in the mud. Come help us fight this battle with the state. We was like the chosen one to take care of this plant. That's why we're gonna fight to the end.
It's in us. We kuaina. And if you look good inside you want to. You just gotta go there.
This month, the State Commission on Water Resource Management will hold hearings in Maui to address the long overdue contested case, petitioning amendments to the interim in-stream flow standards of 27 streams from Honopou to Makapipi in the Ko'olau district of East Maui.
Okay, aloha again. I apologize, Ikalamaia'u, for that, but Auntie Avapuhi would like to pule before we start. Oops. Hang on, Auntie.
Dear Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to share our mana'o as to the way we live from before, now, and hopefully in the near future for the next generations to come. We have been living this lifestyle so many, many years, and we have fought for our rights since 1846, but we have not come anywhere close to where we want to be. So Lord, we ask you for help, and we pray for all our living, our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, that they may know the history of Ke'anai Wailuanui within the Ko'olau district. So be with us every step of the way, Lord. And we thank you for being patient with our people. Mahalo anui loa.
Mahalo, Auntie. Okay, so I'm going to start first with Auntie Alva. I'm going to be flipping the computer because it's impromptu talk story. So, Auntie, can you tell us about your lifestyle? You were talking about
Our lifestyle. I was born in 1937, raised by my grandparents because my dad and mom were custodians at the Haleakala National Park, so they couldn't take me with them. So my grandparents raised me until I was about 13 years old. And that's the time I entered the Kamehameha School, Kapalama. So after graduation, I just left. I went to Mauna Olo College. And then when I graduated from Mauna Olo College, I headed for the mainland never to come back until 1972. When I came back, we had so much problems with the water and our kupuna needed help. So I went around different places to help them. And, I got involved with the water from 1972 up until now that my granddaughter is taking over. This is just a short history of my life.
Auntie, you said you graduated from Kamehameha
Kamehameha
schools.
Kapalama.
What year?
1955.
Can you talk about the school back then? How was that?
Well, back then we were a Christian school. Everything was kapu. We couldn't speak Hawaiian there. But I think it happened in my hometown because my grandparents, we attended KMH school and my aunt was the principal. Her name was Julia Pua'a Kawamo. And we couldn't speak Hawaiian. We always got lickings when we spoke Hawaiian in the school. And at home, when we came home, we couldn't speak Hawaiian. My grandmother, she was so afraid in those days that maybe the police would come down and take them away. Oh, it was horrible. But our kupuna in those days were silent. They couldn't speak the way we are now. We're activists and we can speak the way we feel. But in those days, it was kapu. When our queen was overthrown, everything stopped. My parents did not know anything about the Hawaiian government and what happened to it. They were the silent generation. And we did not know our history. I got to know what happened to our queen in California. And I believe it was about 1960. And we had Haole lawyers, and they mingled around Hawaiian lawyers, and they educated us as to what happened to our government. And, for me, it's really pitiful what happened to our nation. And I believe that we still have our sovereign rights, and hopefully we'll work towards getting our government back. And, maybe we would be freer than what we are now. Now we have different laws, it doesn't pertain to us. Like here in Kenai, our moko extends from Opu'ula to Ke'a'iki. Ke'a'iki is where the chief Ke'a'iki, his hands were cut off, and they had to take his hands to Kiha Pi'ilani in Hana to show that it was Ke'a'iki. And so our boundaries extend from O'opu'ula to Ke'a'iki. And it is the Ko'olau district, and it encompasses about 50,000 acres. And before Hawaii became a state, we were free to travel from one place to another in this district. And today, we still have our practicing rights. Because when, the state, when they patrol this area, if we're in the mountains or when they see us in the mountains, they don't bother us. We have this right. And so all of the people who were raised in Kenai, Wailua, Nui, and up to Nahiku, we all practice our gathering rights, till today.
So, Auntie, you folks hold the name Ka'awamo. Can you talk a little bit about that since our
Ka'awamo, the carrier. My dad's great grandparents came from haiku, and his name was Naniho. My great grandfather was named Kawamo. So every one of the children took their first names. So we ended up with Kawamo. So we have been caretakers of this ahupua'a. We have practiced the way that we learned from our grandparents and great grandparents. We gathered the same way they did, and we gather and plant according to the moon phases. We don't practice any other way. So our family carries on that tradition. And in KMI, you could say that we come from a strong family because we have fought for the residents here from time immemorial, as far as I know. Until today, we still are fighting for their rights. And our grandchildren and great-grandchildren are taking over because we have taught them of the gathering rights. I had grandchildren who graduated from the Maui campus. I have a great-granddaughter. Her name is Kahalia Yabaro Kana, and she is just like Queen Liliuokalani. She is a true Kanaka Maoli.
Nailima's girl.
Yes.
Yes.
And her father graduated from the Maui campus. I can't remember what year it was. His sister and brother also graduated. I think Kani Kapole graduated a few years ago. But we love our lifestyle, and we are teachers, and we teach according to the old way, not the American way. Everything is Hawaiian, Kanaka Maoli, what we learn, our culture, the way we plant, the way we gather, everything is done accordingly, and mostly by the moon and the stars. Until today, we practice that tradition.
Thank you. Mahalo, Auntie. So I'm going to switch over to Auntie Pualani. And I wanted you, Auntie, to talk about your kalo farming, how you were, what do you say, you were trained or reared in that practice. I know it's all natural to you. I just seen you when I was passing, you were cleaning. But talk about that.
Aloha, I'm Pualani, Ka'awamo Kimokeheo. To tell you the truth, I think I started working when my mom was carrying me in her stomach. And from that day on, when she gave birth to me, was on November 7, 1944. I'm the middle of 13 children. So we had a very, very hard life. With the twins above of me and myself, we worked from sun up to sundown. Not a day that we play around. The only day we have is Sunday to attend church, and that's a free day for us. My dad was very strict. My mom was the one who carries the heavy load. So the twins and I stuck with her, whether it's Opihi, Opai, Hihivai, taro patch, we can put 20 bags of taro. And we did it all. We had no transportation, but we had a flume, a wooden flume from that takes us to our house down to the taro patch. That was our transportation. We carried 100 pounds of bags of taro on that flume. It's about 50 feet high above, river running, rocks underneath. But that was our life. And you know that we enjoyed every bit of it. The Lord has blessed us so dearly with my mom. When we lost her, till today, I feel for her. I love her so dearly. As we come around Kamahina Park, I look down at Honamanu. I see her on the rocks, picking opihi. And when I'm down the taro patch, oh, I feel so at ease. I know she is with me. So the Lord really blessed me. Thank you.
Auntie, what types of varieties of kalo do you have, and how many patches? And can you describe the work you were talking about further?
Okay, I have 14 taro patches, and I still work the taro patch. Before days, we never had machine. We used chemo. I used to chemo the taro patch up until 7 o'clock at night, day after day, day after day. And we used to plant the taro patch. After we chemo, we level it. Then we plant the taro patch. We have varieties of taro, but we prefer the moy more than anything else because the consistency of the poi is so much better than the lehua and the ha'akea. They're very lightweight. They're not heavy as the moy. And there's mana that we grow a lot, and elepayo to use as table food. So that's the most I can think of is now is strictly moy.
Yeah, there was problems, I think, back in the 90s maybe, or early 2000s, that there was a
1980.
yeah, the snails that were
Yes.
gone now.
Now we don't have too much snails. It's gone, and we have the bigger ones, but they're not very damaging, like the baby ones that they eat the taro. So now it's better.
All right. No, mahalo.
Aloha.
We're gonna focus now on the next generation. Kealoha is the granddaughter of Auntie Aupukuhi. So talk to us.
Everybody went dry your guys' eyes. Oh, got us all crying over here. Yeah, so I'm now the next generation taking the kuleana of my grandma and what she taught. So Auntie Shane had reached out and I was like, hey, we have a topic, Awamo, that we want to talk about, and what a perfect family is Ka'awamos. My grandma said, Ka'awamo means to carry the burden, and that is most definitely true, that it is not really a burden, it's our kuleana, and we're happy like for that struggle and all the things that we have to fight for, like the passion of what you're responsible to transfer to future generations. And so just saying how you guys are trying to figure out ways to teach your students, not through textbook, but more through hands-on, and coming from people who live everyday lives, like kalo farming, fishing, whatever it may be. And to me, that's something I always wish I had growing up, going to school. We didn't have, mostly it was all textbook learning. not so much hands-on. I had Auntie Shane as my teacher at Ohana school, and we got to go out on field trips, and we would meet with kupuna from all over East Maui, and they would share all their stories, their knowledge, and it was so awesome. And now I'm seeing that this generation is starting to get that opportunity. Like my son, he applied for KMH. He was kind of excited, but now he's not, because he thinks it's all just textbook and computer work from watching his cousins go there. And now Ohana School has such awesome programs with Makahana Kaike, where they get to ku'i kalo. Like we never had that opportunity, and they can bring it home for family to share. They started like a garden at school, and they can harvest all of that. Having that hands-on is amazing, and that's what it should be about, is not learning from one book, but learning through our older generations, from our history down to us, to keep that alive, because they ripped that from us. They tried to make it disappear, so we would never know, and our kids won't ever be taught that. But now I feel like it's getting back to where it's supposed to be, where kids are getting hands-on, seeing all these videos about the struggles in the Hawaiian community, what everyone's battling. And it's our kuleana to step up and do anything you can to fight for everything that we still have or had lost, and we want to bring it back. Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned your son, Aloha. So in what ways are you, I know he goes to Hana school, and they have several programs. They have the Mala'ai too, yeah,
Yes.
the Mahele.
Yeah.
But what ways are you kind of passing on to him that was, multi-generational?
Well, he's in that generation where they like play video games, do everything on the internet. So I made it a little rough to pass on everything that I've learned from my grandma. Like I'm so happy I got to learn how to catch opai, pick opihi, raise kalo, grow plants, flowers, everything that my grandparents grew up knowing. I got that. And my son kind of doesn't have it right now, but he has bits and pieces, because we're incorporating technology and the new lifestyle that they're brought up in, but still trying to keep the traditional lifestyle in. Like he still loves to go fishing and do certain activities, but not all of it. Like he does not like going in the taro patch mud. It's like, so be it. That's not everybody's calling. But yeah, making sure he knows what his kuleana is.
So at the higher ed level, they're calling it old knowledge is new knowledge. So it's savvy to, and it's in style to practice that old knowledge. Talk about the current. I know you're up to here with that, but your name is on the pleadings with DLNR, with with EMI, with, you can just touch on that because it is Awamo Kuleana as well.
So my great grandma actually was one of the first that started a petition for Hanabi stream, restoring water. And then my grandma took on that kuleana, and they started this nonprofit for our community called Namoku Aupuni Oko'ola Ohui, which was pretty much to keep everything in our ahupua'a secure so that we don't lose anything. Our way of life, like having outsiders coming in and changing our way of lifestyle. Because of course we have, people come in, new farmers thinking their idea is better and that's the way to do it, when it's not, because how my grandparents, great grandparents have been taught that they live that life forever and ever, and that's the correct way to do it. In this specific area. Yes, other places, you can go Waianae, they're gonna have a different way of farming maybe because of how their aina is. So I took on the water case, and we had Carmichael versus BLNR, and it's been a constant battle. As long as I can remember, I've been at meetings from the Moku since I was like 7 years old. They used to call me their junior secretary, and I've sat on their board multiple times. And I leave sometimes because it's a lot of work, but it's what's right. I'd hate to see everything that my family has fought for just fall apart. So that's why our generations are trying to pick up that kuleana and keep fighting and fighting. And it's really, really tiring to have to keep going to court. It costs lots of money to fly. Like, luckily we did fundraisers and people would sponsor us to pay for us to go rally at the Capitol and just do our part to secure our water rights. And the last case we had, it went up to Supreme Court. And because of COVID, we weren't able to be there live. We had to do it through Zoom, and our lawyers pretty much just battled everything out. And we got back some of our streams to be restored, and it's just still yet an ongoing battle. They're trying to get extended permits, giving us bull crap about they got to get permits to remove certain dams. It's like, you didn't get a permit to even put it up. Now you have to get a permit to destroy it. It makes no sense. So yeah, it's just constant battle, back and forth, court, changing of laws. And we're just hoping and praying that we'll get our rivers restored to a really good amount of water every day.
What a way to live, Awamo Kuleana. So very happy you are doing that though, for your posterity, the next generation.
It's a kako thing. It takes, a little bit of everybody to fight, sending in testimonies, whatever, however you can help. That's your kuleana to protect the waters. I always try to explain, because I work in tourism, that you guys support us, go send in a testimony, because you come to Hawaii looking for these waterfalls. If East Maui irrigation keeps diverting our water, you're not going to have no waterfalls. What you coming to Hawaii for? Look at one swimming pool. Like, this is gold, East Maui. I mean, it should be, the whole island is gold, but everything's getting overrun by tourism and growth.
So my question posed to Kumu out there is, in your role as Kumu, or even perhaps as a Kanaka Oiwi, how can you kokua, or what is your awamo to this community, to any community on Maui? And think of your role as Kumu though. I know we can't go out and we cannot bring our kids in here. Hui Malama used to do that, to have them work in the patches and help. But what other ways can you kokua? Or should they know about this history? Or can you put that in the chat, and then we're going to follow up with some questions. It's 4:40 right now. Oh, Eola nui ka ohana, ka oamo. Hi cousins, kawai kekivi, kawai kuluhiva. Is that you? This is Shane. Aloha, Cynthia and Sheila and everyone, miss you all. Okay, so you have ohana all in the room. Aloha na'ana ke. These are my mom's sisters and my niece. Nice to see all of you from KS. My brother is Junior, who a lot of you were able to enjoy his poi when I was at KS. My mom is one of the twins, Puala and Puanani. Puanani was Kim Thomas's mom. This is my ohana, Amanda Martin. Bush is my brother. Ed is, okay, you got all your ohana in this room.
Ohana strong.
So right now, if you want to, the floor is open to any questions you may have. And whoever it may be, I'll flip the computer or the Zoom, the camera toward them. Three messages. Louisa Ka'aihue Artades is my grandma. I am the mo'opuna of Esther Kawamo Ka'ili La'au.
Kaili La'au.
Alo, wow, you got plenty ohana in here. Aloha from Washington, Sam Ka'oamo. You got people from Aina E continent.
We have a lot of family all over.
No questions. Okay, so I'm wondering how would this affect your classroom, or how would this affect you as kumu? What would be your kuleana to community? Kumu can engage Haumana in advocacy for policies that protect and restore Vai. Mahalo, Brooke. That's the political end of it.
I'll just unmute. I was just gonna say for the young learners, like maybe teaching them about the native species to kind of, since I'm at kindergarten, third grade science, like through third grade science, teaching them about the native species so they have this passion and hopefully kind of cultivate this passion in them at a young age so that they can build that connection at some point, you know? So I just think about a lot of the kids have never seen opu or pai, and like trying to get them to see these species and learn about them, because once they see them firsthand, or they build a connection, and then they might be more of an advocate as they get into middle school or high school. So those are my thoughts.
You guys wanna talk? You wanna respond to Emma? So Emma teaches science in the elementaries, at the elementary level, lower division. Emma, I'm gonna say spot on, because everything in the Kumulipo that is before us, all of the species you're talking about was created before Kanaka. Those are our elders, or hiapo. So they deserve that respect, and in turn, that sustainability as well as malama ka'ainaya. But mahalo for that.
See, with the diversions, you know, when we didn't have water in 1985, that's when we really saw no water in the streams, and we lost a lot of native species like the opai, especially the opai, the hiwai, and they need a certain temperature to live. You know, like the opai, they hatch downstream and then they travel upstream. You're looking at the waterfall. Gee, how can they climb the waterfall? You know, above the waterfall. We're just thinking about that. But Skippy Howe, he was a biologist for the Department of Land and Natural Resources, and he did a lot of studies in this area, but he just retired. And every time we had a hearing with the Department of the Board of Land and Natural Resources, they would send him to Florida, to California. So he couldn't like testify with us about the native species. And we have, you know, so many different native species. And Hanavi stream is where you can find the native species. We won the case in 1980. So Hanavi stream is a protected stream, and they can never divert water from below the road. So I took all of my grandchildren down there. And the last time we were there, I think it was a few years ago. And oh, there was a lot of oopo and hihiwai and you know, opai, you know, because the water temperature was like how it should be. And, you know, since EMI couldn't divert from that stream, you see a lot of native, like the oopu. Oh, it's just plentiful. And it really made us so happy to take our grandchildren there. And one day we were there, and the Department of Land and, well, the board, Skippy House, the biologists were down there, and they were so amazed because it was so hard to get down there. When we take people there, they look down at the stream and they say, oh no, we don't want to go down there. It's so far. But that place is just as beautiful. And the water, because you have the big springs and they can't take the water from big springs. So you have a lot of native species. It is, amazing. And I wish we could have taken our great-grandchildren, but now age limits us to that process.
Let me say something. That specific day that we went down in the stream, when Skippy came, they came and landed on a helicopter in the middle of the stream after we walked hours and hours. So I told Skippy, I said, you know what, make my grandma's dream come true. If you can take her on the helicopter and let her go to Ohana V one more time.
And did he?
No, didn't. No can.
Cannot. They have policies.
Thank you, Emma, for your response or your ideas. You got more comments here. Kumunapaka MO. Oh, she's answering Sheila maybe. When we teach our keiki about Me'e Hawaii, I can look to my own Ohana as the examples. Yes, you may, Sheila. Ekela, oya i'o, Sheila, no need to look far. Naupaka, mo'okuohau learnings, knowing who and where Haumana are from. Later, their connection to place. What's happening organically here? Oh, nice, Naupaka, mahalo.
Kovela.
Yes,
Kovela,
Ekela.
I just wanted to say, in Olaloa, we just completed a couple of Ike Hawaii sessions where we looked at the Kumulipo, and I'm looking at some of our Haumana who are in Olaloa right now. And isn't it beautiful that although, Kumulipo was so long ago, there are still people sitting here in front of us today who are telling us these stories that they connect to the very things that we read about and we hear about. It's alive. And I think this is why we do what we do. This is why we need to do what we're doing, because we have to continue this legacy. It's a legacy. When you listen to Auntie and both Auntie Atipua, Auntie Awapui, mahalo nui, and Healoha mahalo nui, for taking time out of your day to spend with us and share your time, share your mana'o and share your mo'olelo, because we don't get this on a daily basis. And this is what we need. We're not going to get this in a textbook. The passion, the aloha, and understanding that this ike that you have has been passed down from generation to generation, that we still have it. I pray that the day doesn't come that we only read about it and we're not practicing. And so, it behooves us at Kamehameha, where we have the opportunity to teach over 1,000 Hawaiian children this information, that they have the kuleana to carry this, to malama this ike. Because if not, we're going to hold that plea. It's going to be on us, because we had the perfect opportunity to do something. And so I know that's a big challenge, but it's the work that many of us have been putting in for a long time to try to get our children educated in what matters to them as Kanaka Maoli. At this point, they can learn anything on Google, but what they cannot get are the mo'olelo of our kupuna that live today. And so I just wanted to share that mana'o, that Kumulipo sounds so far long ago, but it's still alive today. And that's our kuleana to keep it alive. So, you know, mahalo nui.
Oh, mahalo,
Mahalo.
Ikela. I agree with you. And thank you for covering Kumulipo in Olaloa. So very important. And this is how I met Auntie Ava. All the students in the class in Hana school had to connect or contact a kupuna, and we went out to their places and houses. And we just talked story with them, and we got to go to Auntie Ava's and Granny Nakalelua,
Yes.
Elizabeth Konohia. These people are past
Oh,
now. They had
yeah.
so much knowledge, and we had so much fun jumping in my 4Runner and hitting it, going down the coast. Any other comments, questions? None?
I have something to say. Just
Okay,
mahalo.
Kavita.
Mahalo for the invitation. You know, it's always such a blessing to get some correspondence from you since you left us. But I wanted to express my aloha for the Ohana Awamo for sharing your mana'o and your experiences, because as a way to answer Calvella's question, what does it mean in our classrooms? You know, I've worked extensively with my students to try and connect them to their mo'oku auhau and to how their mo'oku auhau connects them to their aina. And in so many cases, not all, but in many cases, our families are so removed from that connection that you folks have with your aina. And so in some cases, it's maybe not possible to connect in that same way. In other places, there is still a chance. And so when I look at the context of what I'm trying to connect my students to, in the context of your folks' experience, sharing your story with my students is that I get choked up just thinking about it, but it's that na'au thing. It's a na'au thing, it's deep. And it's the thing that inspires people to act and to move. So I look forward to sharing some of the things that I learned from what you folks have shared, and the resources that I've been connected to just from attending today. I can't wait to share this stuff with my students.
Mahalo, Kavika. Kavika works at Kapalama campus. He is a visual communications teacher in the Midkiff Learning Center. And the students work with graphic design, with software to create several things, but one that sticks out is the logo of their ohana and their place, their vahi. So I told him to enter it in a contest, but there was no contest to enter that. So I told him to create a contest.
It's on its way.
Create that contest, and Maui campus is going to compete with that.
Oh, good.
You know, it's interesting because you brought that up to me, and you know, in this group of kumu, it's maybe a good thing to bring to light is that, you know, I try to enter my student work into, you know, existing competitions that have a very Western approach to art appreciation. And I found that there's no space to really consider the cultural inspiration for that artwork. And so without the opportunity to explain the inspiration behind that work, my student work comes from a cultural place, and there's purpose in it. It's not just art for art's sake. It's not just there to be pretty. And so as Covella suggested, maybe it's on us to create those spaces to properly appreciate it and acknowledge it.
Yes, and
Thank you. I've had a
Mahalo.
group of art department people to speak about it, so we're figuring it out.
Okay. Kind of what's happening organically. Mahalo nui ka'oamo ohana from Cindy Fernandez. Any other comments? Any other questions? If not, we are Pau here. Oh, wait. Hello has something to say.
I just want to mahalo all you kumu for listening to us and inviting us to talk, and say mahalo nui, because you guys are very important to students. You guys are the ones gonna pass all this ike on to them, and without you guys teaching, our kids not gonna learn anything. So keep up the good work. Mahalo.
I just wanted to say hi. Hi, aunties. Hi, love you guys. Hi,
Who's that?
Coco. It's me, Jennifer.
That's
Jennifer.
Hey. Hi, Kumos. I just wanted to share.
Aloha.
I just wanted to share that we are still Kalu farmers. I am the third generation in Wailua, and we have 5 generations going right now. I know a lot of you guys up at Kamehameha schools used to order poi from me, and mahalo for that. That was my brother Junior on the video. Yes, we still in that fight for the water. We did have some streams restored, and from that time, this was just a few years ago, he was able to record some of the students that came down to help him to open up the awai, and they were able to see the oopu and everything come all the way down. So it was a really blessing. It was a nice sight to see that again, because we haven't seen that in many years. We've also seen a lot of the population down at the ocean start to come back, and so that was good. But I just wanted to let you guys know, you guys have a really, really good resource up there at Kamehameha Maui. Her name is Kimberly Thomas, and at any time, I don't like throwing any more work on her because I know she's busy, but she can get in contact with us. Our nonprofit organization, the Moku'aupuni or Ko'olauhui, we had just got the right of entry to what we formerly known as Camp Keanai YMCA. So we are in the beginning stages of cleaning it up and making it safe for our community to come out there. But just think about that in the near future, if that's someplace where you guys want to maybe hold a class or come out, actually do the work. My daughter also works at another private school. She brings some smaller groups out. Right now, no can because of the pandemic getting worse, but she teach them before they actually go to the farm. And we only give them, so much time out there, because after working for like half an hour, they kind of like play already. They like throw mud and jump in a ditch and stuff like that. But just know that you guys have a really strong resource up at Kamehameha, Kimberly Thomas. Don't forget, just ask her if you guys need any of our information. You guys can get it from Kim. And I just thank you guys for inviting us. And I love you, aunties. You guys made me cry. Grandma is strong. Yes. We always remember her. She was such a hard worker. She did carry a lot of load. She was the last one to sleep, the first one to get up, you know, and just very, very, she was very inspirational to a lot of us, especially the women in our family. And that's why we are strong the way we are today. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Okay, then. Are we, anybody else? Are we done? Mahalo, everyone, for coming.